Hi, this is Brian King. I've met a lot of people for you for the first time over probably the past year or so, and it occurs to me that not many of you really know the whole story. You see what I post every single day, and hopefully that's of value to you. But the bottom line is it all started somewhere, and it's going somewhere even more important. So let's get started. I grew up in the 70s primarily, and that was a time before a lot was known about learning disabilities, in particular ADHD and dyslexia. I was a smart kid. I was a cute kid. How things have changed. And I was accused of being unmotivated, daydreaming, lazy, a worrywart, and a lot of other really cruel names that both teachers and students decided to levy against me. My kindergarten teacher even asked my mother whether I was retarded because I didn't catch on very fast. I was often very confused. I walked around with a deer in the headlights look almost all the time. The world was a very confusing place for me. And it wasn't that I wasn't trying. It was that the world was just too loud, too fast, too bright, too a lot of things. And school was something I pretty much survived. I didn't have a lot of friends. I was awkward, clumsy, I wasn't sporty. I was pretty much on the outside looking in. I would watch the kids play games. I would do my best to stay under the radar because if they did notice me, it was usually to be mean to me. But something even back then kept me going. It was this little voice in the back of my head that said, Bri, this is not as good as it gets. It's going to be better. I don't know how, but trust me, it's going to be better. And I kept going. I made it to grade school, middle school, that was brutal, then high school. And just on the cusp of graduating high school, where I thought I'd be finally free of all the politics and nonsense, I was given a little pre-graduation gift in the form of a very painful testicular tumor. So I had that bad boy removed 3 weeks shy of graduation. Completed my finals, graduated, thought I was free and clear, until a post-operative blood test showed that the cancer was back 5 times worse than when it began. So I spent that summer in chemotherapy. Lost my hair, lost a lot of my friends. Either they didn't know the cancer had come back, or they'd simply moved on with their lives. They graduated. So I was pretty much alone, and bitter, and angry, and depressed. And then several months later, I learned that I was in remission. And then I also realized I was sick and tired of being angry and depressed and miserable. And I declared that if I was going to live, it wasn't going to be that way. So I made myself a promise that I was never going to be that helpless again. That I was going to commit my life to being a student of solutions. And for the past 28 years, that's exactly what I've done. I learned a lot, and I keep learning. And that's kind of what's made me as sought after and prolific as I've become in terms of the solutions that I have, because I don't stop looking. Because there's so much to learn. It's just so much waiting out there in terms of possibilities. But see, that was still 28 years in the past. Lots continued to happen since then. I got my master's in social work. I got married. Had 3 boys. Turns out all 3 boys have Asperger's and ADHD. It's hard enough raising kids in today's world. But given those kind of challenges, in a world that has all this information but still very little understanding, and you not only have to prepare them for the world, you have to prepare the world for them. And that's no easy task. So as I did my best to become the expert and the parent that they needed me to be to prepare them for the world, it became more that I could do and juggle a day job. So I decided to start my own business. That was about 10 years ago. I hung out my shingle doing what I knew best, how to raise kids with autism and ADHD. And that's been what I've been doing ever since, until quite recently. As you see, 4 years ago, the bumpy road of my life didn't stop. I was diagnosed with a connective tissue disorder, genetic, so there's no cure, called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. What it means is that my joints hurt all the time. They hurt because they're incredibly unstable. The ligaments and tendons are so slack that my joints give out. They often partially dislocate, especially the joints in my feet. That's a dandy. And I have to stop what I'm doing and pop them back into place. So I don't take those long walks I used to. But that's not the end of it. Just this past summer, I was having a lot of really weird neurological symptoms. I was starting to have trouble remembering words rather. I was getting really spacey, confused. My memory was getting worse. I ended up in the hospital with this and some other symptoms. And a few MRIs later, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So that brings me to today. With each diagnosis, I've had to do one thing, and one thing that's really key to life as I live it today. I've had to become more resourceful than I'd been to that point. By resourceful, I mean solution focused. Looking for those solutions that I promised myself 28 years ago I would always be on the lookout for. I would ask myself, what opportunities lie in this difficulty? What resources, what people do I need to have around me that I don't presently have? What knowledge do I need? What tools do I need to incorporate so that I can continue to live my life as fully as I choose, even with these challenges? Because that's the key to resilience. Resilience. That's a word you hear a lot these days. People tell you to be resilient. People tell you how resilient your kids are. Few people can tell you how to be resilient. Resilience is pretty much what I've had to be since day one. Since those days of being bullied in school, not knowing I had these learning challenges, but doing my darndest, getting up every day, going to school, even though I knew danger was coming, getting through cancer at 18 years old, being diagnosed with one thing after another, and now being faced with a diagnosis that has no cure, that will likely wind me up in a wheelchair while I'm raising 3 special needs kids. How do you do it? You do it with resilience. You do it with strategies. You do it with a solution-focused mindset that is committed to using every adversity as an opportunity to be resourceful. That's my story. That's how I live my life. That's how I've gotten to where I am today. So where do I go from here? Give you a little preview. Where I go from here is to help as many people as I possibly can. In the next couple days, I'll be explaining to you exactly how I intend to do that. But in the meantime, I want to give you something to help you get started. When I end this video, I'm going to add a link to the description at the top. It's going to be a link that will take you to a small screen that'll give you an opportunity to get delivered right into your Facebook Messenger a video I recorded on how to overcome fear. Something I know quite a bit about. So I hope you'll take me up on that opportunity. I hope you'll stay tuned the next couple days because I'll have a lot more to tell you. But in the meantime, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in today and for letting me share my story with you. It's been an absolute honor to have your time and your attention, and I wish you the very best. Talk to you again soon.